this video, we will be compositing the file we created in the last lesson on top of the stock videos we got from Envato. If you haven't seen my last video, you might want to check it out before watching this one. Here we have a stock video which wasn't shot for adding VFX. We have no lights, no green screen, no track points, but who cares? We rendered in JPEG, so there's no transparent background. To remove all dark shades, switch modes to screen. First thing I'll do is drop the brightness of our footage so the fire can pop. Won't drop it too much though, cause we will have to add light falling on the ground as well, and I'm lazy. Boost contrast a bit. Let's keep our evening setting. The fire still looks a bit dull. It's much vibrant on the black background. So I'm gonna add curves. And let's boost the red channel. Just a bit. Okay, now let's add glow. Increase radius. Threshold just a bit to make it darker. Now I'll use another glow to add light flicker. Increase radius a lot so light spreads across the scene. If you turn this on off, you get flicker. But instead of turning this on and off with animation, we will use a shorter way. We will use a wiggle expression to automatically animate the intensity. To type expression, hold Alt and left click here. Then over here type wiggle. In the bracket you have to add two numbers. First is the speed you want to change the selected parameter. So here glow intensity will change 10 times per second. Then comma, and next value will represent how much you want to change the intensity. I'll type 1. Now the way this works is it will minus and plus 1 from the original intensity value, which was also 1. So minus and plus 1 will be 0 to 2. Now wiggle will change intensity 10 times per second. So 10 times it will pick any random number between 0 to 2, and that will be your intensity. So now if I move the slider, you can see the intensity changing. Okay, let's play and see. Now we got nice flickering light. This effect will help us showcase the natural behavior of fire. Fire is random and chaotic. Fire is loud but also warm and comforting. Fire will take you under its wing, no questions asked. Fire will believe in you, have trust in your abilities. Fire will make you stronger, more independent. Fire will be the light in the darkest of times. Now let's add lights on the body, targeting areas that are closer to the fire. To do that, first we need to separate her from the background. Hit Ctrl+T to duplicate layer. I'll disable the brightness effect for now. Hit double click on the layer to go in layer mode. Now we need to do some rotoscoping, which is creating a mask that will separate her from the background. But we won't create masks manually, that's a very tedious task. Okay, go to a frame which you think is easiest for making a selection. Similar selection as you might have done in Photoshop. Okay, last frame is good. Now I'll choose Roto Brush tool and simply drag to make a selection. This tool works best if your background has different colors from the part you want to select. It's easier that way for After Effects to differentiate between the foreground and background. It has over-selected here. To remove that, hold Alt. You'll see the brush go red. Then again left click and drag. I'm gonna check for minor edits. This doesn't have to be super accurate since we are not gonna replace the background or anything. Just have to add lights on her. Okay, now select the time slider and just move the slider on the opposite side. This will trigger After Effects to create cache between where the slider was before and where it is now. Creating cache needs RAM, so if you don't have enough, it won't do the whole scene at once. You may have to do it part by part. Okay, now let's play this. It has done a very good job. This part got messed out, but that's an easy fix. All you have to do is go to each frame and select. Easy. By the way, if you want to change brush settings, go to Window and open Brushes panel. These settings work on Roto Brush as well. Now let's cache again. In Blender, to save cache, we have the Bake button. Here it's Freeze. Okay, go back to Comp mode. If I solo this layer, we have separated her from the background. You can adjust these settings to further enhance the result. Now I can turn on brightness effect. Before adding lights on this, I'm gonna pre-comb this layer to put effects inside it. Now to add lighting or highlights, we will use an effect called CC Plastic. In properties, select alpha channel. Alpha channel because we do have a cutout of the model. Light type to point light. This will give us better control of the position from where the light is coming. Drop height value to bring the light closer to the border and also drop its sharpness. Now place the point light on top of the fire. Change light color. It's very dull, so I'll increase the height a bit and also increase softness. Much better. Here we can drop the light height because the hand is going a bit behind the body. In shading, ambient and diffuse affects the brightness and overall color. To preserve our original brightness and colors, keep ambient at 100. Now it may seem little brighter than before, that's because of diffuse value. Diffuse adds our light color on the entire layer, making it yellowish. I'll keep diffuse at 0. By default ambient was 75, which made the scene little darker, but diffuse was 25, which brought back the brightness and balanced it out. But since we changed the light color, it added a yellowish tint everywhere, which I don't want. You can drop the metal value to make light even softer. Now let's animate the light position so it follows our palms. Click on the stopwatch to set a keyframe. Then press U to see that keyframe in the timeline. Next, I'll animate the light intensity. Less intensity where the fire is small and nothing before the fire starts. Let's try keeping it higher. Nice. Let's cache everything and see. Sweet. You can see our highlights moving up with the fire. Now I'll duplicate this effect and simply place the light on the other hand and animate it. So this is what we get. Alright, let's switch to scene 2. Here we have 3 renders. Backfire is the one which has fire emitting from the dragon head. Then the dragon head itself. And the last one is fire emitting from the hands. Now I'll copy the brightness and contrast effect from the previous scene and then copy the glow effects and apply on all 3 renders. Glow needs some tweaking, but I won't show all that since you guys already know how to use it. Now let's add highlights. Just like before, I've used rotor brush to separate her from the background, then added CC Plastic. You can see all the settings here. I've also added a mask on her legs to remove highlights from there and another mask here because the rotor brush didn't remove that area properly. Now to the third scene. For this one, I didn't show the fire simulation process in Blender because it was pretty basic. Again, add all the effects from scene 1, then rotor brush and lights. Here I've added 4 total lights, making sure nothing is missed out. Next, let's make her eyes glow. Go to tracker panel and hit track motion. Place the track point on her eye. This is the area you want to track, and this is the search area where After Effects is allowed to search for the area you want to track. If the object you're tracking is very fast and moving a lot every frame, then you will have to keep a larger search area. Press Analyze Forward. Done. I'll create a new null. In Edit Target, select the null and apply. X and Y, OK. Now the null object will stick on her eye. To create the glowing eye, I'll make a copy of our background layer. Right click, time, freeze frame. This will freeze the video on the frame you are currently at. Let's make a mask since we just want the eye. Okay. On this, let's add exposure and make it brighter. Then we can add glow. This looks nice. If I play, wait, it's not sticking. Parent link it to the null, and I'll keep it above the lights comp since it has the girl cutout. Now let's play with all effects on. Okay, we still have to do some more lighting. I'll make an adjustment layer. Go to generate and gradient ramp. Swap colors and select radial ramp. Blend mode to screen. This way we will show light coming from top because there is a lot more fire above her. Here I'll select light orange color. And we can reduce the overall opacity. Next, let's add some fire flowing over here. To make that, I'll use a free plugin called Saber. Instead of the default line, I'm gonna create a mask. In Customize Core, select Layer Masks. Again, blend mode to screen. In presets, we can select something that looks like fire. We just need this part, not the core, because fire is outside the frame. So we just want its glow. I'm not gonna explain everything here. If you know how to use glow effect, then this is very easy. Just use wind speed and direction to control where the fire is going. I've also added Saber on her hands to get these tiny particles flying. You can make those using normal particles or even stock effects. Okay, in the second scene you can see her upper body has more light, so let's do the same over here. I'm gonna increase the overall brightness of the model, but not too much because it's still an evening setting. Then let's make a copy of her. Here I'll disable all the lights and set blend mode to add. Now it made the entire model brighter, but I want brightness only on the front and top part, so I'll make a mask. Add feather and again reduce opacity. Now to make this brightness yellowish, I'll use exposure. Select individual channels. Mixing red and green gives yellow, so let's increase that. Here you can keep red value higher to get an orange shade. By using exposure you can change the brightness as well as colors, and it still looks good compared to other color correction effects. Now let's add flicker to the entire thing and make an adjustment layer on top of all the layers. Add glow flicker on it just like before. Her top is shining a lot, so reducing flicker of just that area. Here select subtract and feather. Now it's much better. Alright, for the final edits, I have added 2 more lights on the ground. Their brightness matched with the fire. For scene 2, I am gonna add heat distortion on the background layer. Create masks around the fire and animate them. Now go to distort and turbulent displace. Decrease amount and size. It's not clearly visible, so increasing the size and also complexity. This will add more detail. Type, I will select bulge. Let's see. We can even animate the evolution to make the distortion look fast. Add some feather to the masks and we are good to go. Wait, I'm gonna keep this one longer. Okay, that's it. This is the final result. I hope you all learned something new today. Comment if you have any doubts and like the video if you like it. This was just a 2-part mini tiny series. Let's summarize all the important things we have learned. Alright, see you guys in the next one.